Flip a switch, light appears. But that effortless spark is the final echo of a brutal war that electrified, divided, and nearly destroyed the very world it lit up. 130 years ago, bringing that light to your home required a war that electrocuted animals, tortured prisoners, and destroyed the man who could have given you free energy. What if I told you the man we call America's greatest inventor was actually a vicious monopolist who killed to win, and the man who actually invented the future died broke, alone, and was erased by his own government? This is the dark history of electricity. The light you trust has blood on it. To understand how dark this gets, we have to start at the very beginning, with the lie they taught you in school. They taught you Thomas Edison was a lone genius working alone in his lab, but the truth? He didn't invent the light bulb. He bought the patent from two Canadians, then hired the best minds, stole their work, and claimed it as his own. His real genius wasn't invention, it was control. He knew whoever controlled electricity controlled the world. But his system had a fatal flaw, one that a poor immigrant from Serbia was about to exploit. Edison's system was called direct current, DC, simple but useless. It couldn't travel more than a mile without losing all its power. To power a single city you needed a power plant on every corner, and copper wires strangled the streets. Then, in 1884, a 28-year-old immigrant walked into Edison's office with a better way. His name was Nikola Tesla, and he had a vision, alternating current, AC, which could travel hundreds of miles, cheaper, safer, and vastly more efficient. Edison was terrified. If AC won, his DC empire would crumble. He offered Tesla $50,000 to fix his DC generators, a fortune today worth over $1 million, and Tesla worked day and night for months, solving every problem. But when he finished and asked for his money, Edison laughed in his face and said, "Tesla, you don't understand our American humor." That was it, the joke was the payment. Tesla quit on the spot, walked out into the street penniless but free, and found a new partner, George Westinghouse, a man who believed in AC and Tesla's genius. But Edison was not a man to lose gracefully. He declared war, and his weapons were cruelty and propaganda. First tactic: spread fear. He paid children to capture stray dogs and cats from the streets, then publicly electrocuted them using AC, letting the press film it. His message was simple: AC kills, but his real plan was far more sinister. He was about to turn the electric chair into a weapon of corporate warfare. In 1888, New York State decided to execute prisoners with electricity, but they didn't know how. Edison saw an opportunity and secretly lobbied them to use alternating current, thinking if they used AC to kill criminals, people would forever associate AC with death. He even helped design the first electric chair, giving secret advice to the state's technicians, but he didn't want his name attached, so he used a pseudonym and funneled the work through his assistant. The first victim was William Kemmler, a convicted murderer who had no idea he was a pawn. On August 6, 1890, they strapped him into the chair, the warden gave the signal and 1,000 volts surged through his body, but the first jolt didn't kill him. He was still alive, gasping and groaning, so they hit him again with 2,000 volts. His veins burst, his body began to cook, and it took 8 minutes, 8 minutes of hell. The press called it the horrible experiment, but Edison celebrated, while Westinghouse cursed him, saying, they would have done better with an axe. But Edison wasn't done. He needed bigger proof, he needed a spectacle. In 1903, Coney Island had a star attraction, a 5-ton elephant named Topsy, but Topsy was dangerous because she'd killed a trainer, so they decided to put her down. Edison's team swooped in and offered to do the job using AC, of course. They fed her carrots laced with cyanide, strapped copper electrodes to her feet, then threw the switch, 6,600 volts of alternating current, and she died in 10 seconds, her 5-ton body crashing to the ground while Edison's film crew captured every second of it, making it the first animal snuff film in history, all to prove AC was deadly. But despite the chair and despite the elephant, AC won anyway. Tesla and Westinghouse lit up the Chicago World's Fair, and the world never looked back. But the victory came at a cost, a debt Tesla was never paid. Westinghouse was bleeding money, on the verge of bankruptcy, and he went to Tesla with a painful request: tear up your royalty contract, because if Tesla kept his royalties, Westinghouse would crash and AC would die. Tesla did the unthinkable. He tore up the contract for the greater good, giving up billions of dollars, giving up his birthright, so the world could have light, and what did the world do for him in return? Absolutely nothing. By 1915, Tesla was broke, he lost his laboratory to foreclosure, and he moved from hotel to hotel, feeding stray pigeons with his last coins. But he never stopped inventing. He had a vision that terrified the rich: Wardenclyffe Tower, a giant transmitter meant to send wireless electricity to the entire planet, free energy, no wires, no meters, no bills, for everyone, forever. He pitched it to J.P. Morgan, the richest banker in history, and Morgan was intrigued until Tesla said the words, "It's free. No meters." Morgan asked, "Where do I put the meter?" and Tesla replied, "There is no meter," so Morgan cut the funding on the spot, refusing to finance a world that couldn't be metered. Without money, Wardenclyffe was demolished and sold for scrap. The world chose profit over progress, and the price of light became a monthly bill. Tesla retreated into isolation, suffered a nervous breakdown, claimed he could talk to pigeons and fell in love with a white one, saying it was a signal from another dimension, his only friend left. On January 7, 1943, Nikola Tesla died alone in a hotel room in New York. The world didn't mourn him, but someone did show up, the FBI, and within 48 hours, they seized every single paper, notebook, and blueprint, declaring all his work classified, and much of it vanished forever. What was in those files? Rumors of death rays, particle beam weapons, anti-gravity technology capable of making objects weightless, teleforce, a defensive shield that could end all wars, and some say the government is still trying to replicate his inventions today. And then there's the Philadelphia experiment, the darkest of all. In 1943, the same year Tesla died, the Navy wanted to make ships invisible to radar, so they asked Tesla for help because his technology could bend electromagnetic fields, but when they asked to test it on human sailors, he refused. He was removed from the project and others took over, and the experiment went horribly wrong. the USS Eldridge vanished in a flash, reappeared moments later. But something was wrong. Sailors were fused into the metal hull, some embedded in bulkheads, while others suffered severe burns and radiation poisoning, never the same again. The Navy denied it all. It was classified, just like Tesla's papers, but whistleblowers have leaked documents for decades, and they say Tesla's most dangerous inventions, death rays, free energy, anti-gravity, were never really lost. They were hidden and suppressed because they were too powerful. So here we are, using Tesla's AC system but paying Edison's monthly bill. The man who wanted to give you free light died penniless, while the man who stole it all is a billionaire, and that, my friends, is the greatest injustice in the history of science. But wait, is that the end? Not quite, because history repeats itself. Today, corporations still fight over energy patents, and the same people who killed free energy are still in power, but there's hope because Tesla's vision is being rediscovered: wireless charging, resonant coils, space-based solar power, all of it was in Tesla's notebooks, the ones the FBI took. What if we had free energy in 1920? World wars might have been avoided. What if poverty was abolished because light and heat were abundant? That world wasn't just possible, it was designed, and it was destroyed for the sake of profits. So every time you pay your electric bill, remember who gave you the light, and remember the darkness that came with it. The wires in your walls aren't just copper and rubber, they're the scars of a war we forgot. We carry the ghost of Tesla in every socket and the greed of Edison in every bill, but you now know the truth, and the truth is the first step to change, because the future doesn't have to be metered and it doesn't have to be owned. We can still build Tesla's dream if we stop worshipping the men who buried it. So turn off your lights tonight and think about the cost. This was the dark history of electricity. If you want more forgotten history, subscribe, and next time you flip a switch, remember Tesla.